Thanks for tuning in to another edition of the FOX54 Week in Review. I'm Kenesha Dees. This week, North Alabama at its best includes a meeting between pen pals that was decades in the making, plus a visit to one of Huntsville's biggest comic and fantasy conventions, and our latest top teacher and neighborhood hero. But we're starting this week with an urgent need for pet adopters in Marshall County. Marshall County Animal Control Shelter is urgently calling on loving homes able to take in new furry friends, as the county has issued a new euthanasia policy that will go into effect May 1st, with more than 20 dogs at risk of being put down. Our Sedona Meadows has more.
Dogs like Buddy, who have been here at Marshall County Animal Control for over 60 days, are on a list to be euthanized starting May 1st.
I didn't do enough. Our community didn't know enough, and we failed the things that couldn't help themselves, that haven't failed anybody. We failed them all the way around.
Jamaica Thomas, a shelter tech with Marshall County Animal Control, says she initially cried when she learned the county's new euthanasia policy.
By the time the dog comes in, it has 60 days to be adopted out or be euthanized. And that was just something, I think, to get the process going. You know, changes can be made as we go along.
The county's District 2 Commissioner Ricky Watson says this decision was made to have a procedure in place to reduce overcrowding of these shelter animals. And in less than 2 weeks after word spread, around 90 dogs have either been adopted or taken to rescues, with some awaiting their spay or neutering procedure before they can be taken home to their new family. But still, a little more than 20 remain on a list to be euthanized, including this sweet dog Buddy, who has been at the shelter for more than a year and desperately needs a loving home.
We have people who are hungry every day, and that extends over to animals who don't know kindness, don't know love, don't know anything.
Some dogs who are in danger of euthanasia are being held at a boarding facility, and the hope is to get them into the shelter as soon as possible so they can be adopted. There is some concern that these animals will be euthanized before ever meeting potential adopters. According to Commissioner Watson, he hopes they can extend the deadline.
We can probably extend it a little bit. I hope we can. But, you know, since they've really done a great job in getting the dogs to loving homes and so forth. So, yes, I hope we can. Gotcha. But again, I'm one vote.
If you are in a place to adopt a dog, Marshall County Animal Control says they have been overwhelmed with calls, so they encourage you to come straight to the shelter. During the month of April, they are waiving all adoption fees.
I'm hoping that the community finally understands how important spaying and neutering is, how important the care of your pet is.
In Marshall County, Sedona Meadows, FOX54 News.
And a top honor awarded to a school in Limestone County. The Athens High School's Engineering Career and Technical Education Academy was awarded the International Technology and Engineering Educators Association Program Excellence Award. It's one of the highest honors given to technology and engineering education programs. Students participate in projects that prepare them for careers including aerospace, architecture, and more.
We ended up placing in 18 events. First, second, or third place.
So it's really just bringing everybody's idea to the table and working together to make it one final piece.
I've got this plane here as a model, as one of the ones that we flew.
When I got that award, I was like, wow, this is awesome.
Congratulations, Athens High School. Whether we even realize it or not, our minds are constantly making decisions and judgments on what's taking place in our day-to-day lives. Some of those judgments are positive, others are not. This can be called a bias. The Smithsonian Institution has brought their traveling exhibit, The Bias Inside Us, to the city. Nixon, what kind of conversations will this open up here in Huntsville?
Kenesha, one thing's for certain, we all walk through life looking through the lenses of our own bias. People commonly have bias when it comes to things like gender, age, or race. But the mission of this traveling exhibit is to make us more aware of these unconscious biases that we all live with.
Just as the name of the exhibit suggests, the bias inside us, we all live with bias.
This exhibit actually talks about the way that our brains process information and the shortcuts we take.
Bias can be defined as prejudice in favor of or against one thing, person, or group compared with another, usually in a way considered to be unfair. Biases are influenced by things like personal experiences, societal stereotypes, and cultural contexts. It's not always about things like gender or ethnicity. Things like height, weight, names, and so on can also trigger bias.
How we think about bias as it relates to age, as it relates to disability and handy-capable, as it relates to gender, to race, to a whole set of things that our brains often make decisions about without us even being aware of it.
Okay, so we've already established that we all live with bias, but what's next?
Bias is both positive and is both negative. And I think it's important for all of us to look at ideas and make sure we don't jump to conclusions. And as we don't jump to conclusions, we understand people. We walk a mile in their shoes. It's a great way to look at issues and look at people and say, how can we make a better community?
The goal of this exhibit is to make people aware of their unconscious biases, so people can eventually retrain their brain to view everyone without bias.
One of the goals of this exhibit is to actually bring the community together to have dialogue around these topics. That is one of the stated goals of the Smithsonian. And there are a lot of different perspectives and opinions, and I think it's valuable to engage in that conversation.
For more information about the Bias Inside Us exhibit, head on over to FOX54.com.
Today in Athens was all about dogs, as the first ever North Alabama Canine Expo took place in the city, bringing together dogs of all breeds, several vendors, and a chance to learn all things canine.
It was an idea of bringing that community together and get some knowledge out about dogs, that not every dog is just a backyard dog and not every dog can just do one sport.
Sabrina Trussell, the owner of Dax Dog Ranch, is all about helping people build strong relationships with their dogs. This sparking an idea to bring dog education to a larger scale through the first ever North Alabama Canine Expo, sharing that through great relationships and solid training, canines are capable of many things.
You do not just have police dogs, military dogs, you have real service dogs, like medical alert dogs, okay, diabetes dogs. You have search and rescue dogs. You have companion dogs.
Well, there are a lot of breeds that are kind of genetically dispositioned for search and rescue work.
Amanda Jordan with Huntsville Search Dog Unit shares that trained search and rescue dogs can be vital in certain situations.
If someone goes missing, they are suspected to be alive, we'll send out one of our live find dogs. They go out, they find them, hopefully in a very quickly manner, come back and let us know, hey, then we'll get the rescuers in there to get them out there safely.
And some dogs can be trained for police canine units.
We do have a few dogs at the ranch. They are nominated to work at certain county jails as narcotic dogs. We're trying to train the dogs as detection dogs for, as of right now, fentanyl most likely, because as we all know, this is a problem right now.
And other dogs are in need of a loving home.
Shelters everywhere are struggling right now with the intake of animals.
Athens Limestone Animal Shelter is encouraging families able to take in a new furry friend to adopt their sweet pups, like Aura.
She's a husky mix, so she has one blue eye and one brown eye. And she's very sweet, dog-friendly, great with kids, just looking for a forever home or a foster home.
An event to bring everyone together.
We love dogs,
and
absolutely.
We love each other because we're best friends.
Yay!
For the love of dogs.
I love all the dogs here, all the different breeds. The ice cream is great.
It was a great time out there at the Canine Expo. They can't wait to come back even bigger next year. Education is one of the 3 missions at Hudson Alpha Institute for Biotechnology, along with research and economic development. Today, they gave over 200 students an opportunity to hear more about their career possibilities. Hudson Alpha hosted its inaugural DNA and Biotech mini conference, where students spent the day rotating through 3 tracks: research, healthcare, and business, and hearing firsthand from those already working in the field.
we're hosting the inaugural, so our first time ever, DNA and Biotech Career Conference. This is it's a professional conference for upper level high school students. We've got amazing people here today, but we need the next generation coming up to take those jobs of tomorrow and even the jobs that don't exist today. And so we care a lot here at Hudson Alpha, and especially in Hudson Alpha Education, in inspiring students as to what those opportunities are and giving them the skills, the knowledge, the training to step into those roles confidently and to grow that next generation of STEM workers, of bioscience workers that are in our backyard, and keeping our students here, making sure they know what those opportunities are and making sure they're equipped to step into those roles tomorrow.
All right, tonight kicks off the 8th annual Huntsville Comic and Pop Culture Expo. No matter what fandom you're into, you're bound to find someone who shares your same interests. Our Nixon Norman was live at the expo earlier. Nixon, what's going on at the Von Braun Center?
Sedona, I spoke with several people at the Comic and Pop Culture Expo today, where many of them had things in common. Two of them being their obvious love and dedication to their fandoms, and the fact that most of the people who were in attendance today have been there since the beginning days of the expo. Let's take a look.
Some of the folks at today's expo have been reading comics for quite some time.
I first started reading comics when I was 8 years old. I got a big bag of comics at a yard sale for $1, and I was hooked. And I've been reading them ever since.
Others cosplayed as their favorite characters in order to pay their respect, as well as express themselves.
I work at a bank. I'm a bank teller. So every day I'm in business casual, you know, filing people's money away, but in my free time, this is what I get to do.
Many were there to support friends and family.
We put our love of cheer and anime together, and that's what we have.
It was me and my two sisters that mostly got my mom to actually make the store with anime in it. She was probably just going to do cheer most of it, but we were able to convince her to do anime, and we got her to watch some of it.
While others just wanted to meet Captain Kirk.
To see William Shatner.
But no matter why someone goes to this expo, it all comes back to one thing: comics.
So while it started with comic books, and that's kind of the core, it's blown up into so much more.
Which is symbolic of the growth this expo has seen. Many of those who were in attendance today have been there since the beginning.
I went to Jeremy's show the first year when, just as an attendee.
The first year that, Jeremy put this on, it was in the JC's building out at John Hunt Park. Very small.
About 12,000 square feet. Year 8, we're a 3-day show, and we take up 150,000 square feet of the VBC, and we have 50 plus guests from all fandoms.
It's going right along with the city. The city is expanding like crazy, and these events, this kind of thing is expanding with it. So we're very proud to have the expo here in Huntsville and very glad to be a part of it.
If you enjoy impacting your community and being a part of a team, Huntsville Fire and Rescue is looking for you. The department has begun a season of recruitment, and our Ken McCoy has the details.
Huntsville Fire and Rescue is looking to bring in a fresh class of recruits to help meet the demands of this growing city.
We have plenty of opportunities and different growth in our department with the city growing as fast as it is.
Huntsville Fire and Rescue has begun accepting applications for new recruits.
We're opening up our hiring process for candidates to apply. Basic qualifications is to be at least 18 years of age, have at least a high school diploma or GED, and have no felonies.
New this year, a pay increase that was granted to the department.
We have a huge pay incentive that I'm sure everybody will be interested in knowing. We start off at a much higher rate now, thanks to everybody who participated in getting that going.
Starting out at $52,416, a cadet's annual salary could jump up to $57,824 when hired on full time. But there is a training process.
So you would go through a 6-month course, approximately 6 months, and it's typical work, Monday through Friday, off on holidays and weekends. And you would go through various physical training as well as different certifications and license training that you would have to attend to.
And various areas to become a part of.
We have more stations that are opening up. We also have our heavy rescue team now that's being a part of the department. So that's another avenue. You can go to our hazmat team. We have our fire prevention office, which you can become a fire inspector and fire investigator. So many different opportunities for growth in our department.
Interested candidates will have the chance to meet and greet the Huntsville Fire and Rescue team, and you can find that information on our website at FOX54.com. Here in Huntsville, Kim McCoy, Fox 54 News.
Now, your neighborhood hero, sponsored by B2EDI.
Neighborhood Hero episodes always air on the last Thursday of the month. Thursdays have been coined on social media as Throwback Thursdays, as many of you at home know. I want to throw things back to this Thursday on a neighborhood hero I met last summer as we quickly approach the summer of this year. Let's take a moment to introduce yourself to Judy Crutcher, this month's Neighborhood Hero.
Right in between AAA and Fire Station 15 stands Judy Crutcher. Equipped with her $1 million smile and lipstick shade Viva Glam 1 by Bobby Mack, Crutcher makes a daily fashion statement, all while conducting morning traffic.
Other than their family, we're the first person that they see on the way to work, and that's important.
In the midst of steering folks clear of disaster, Crutcher can't always take a look at who's behind the wheel. And while, of course, hundreds of people notice her daily on Sparkman Drive, they also notice Crutcher outside of her uniform.
They do all the time. You run into them at the grocery store, you run into them in the library, at the park, you meet them all over the city.
In fact, one of those many people who notice and appreciate Crutcher anonymously nominated her.
I was surprised.
And in regular, humble, neighborhood hero fashion, she doesn't think of herself as a hero at all.
Well, I've never thought of myself as a hero, just as a person.
Instead, she turns that love back around on those she directs every morning.
The people who slow down, who stop when we ask them to, they're my heroes. You know, it's a dangerous job, and like I said, people are distracted, they're in a hurry, so when they stop, they're my hero.
And if you know someone who you consider a neighborhood hero, nominate them. Simply head on over to fox54.com and click on the Neighborhood Heroes tab. You never know, you could see your hero next.
Check out this amateur video of an animatronic dragon catching fire this past weekend at Disneyland. Luckily, no one was hurt and the park was evacuated safely. It's just one of the many videos from beyond North Alabama you can watch when you visit fox54.com. Here's some other clips you may have missed this week. Technology is often used to make us more efficient in our jobs, even in law enforcement. And a recent case involving the Hartselle Police Department is proof of its effectiveness. Our Ken McCoy has more.
On Friday, Hartselle PD was alerted to a stolen vehicle thanks to an automated license plate scanner. But what they would find would make the use of this technology even more valuable.
99% of the notifications are stolen vehicles.
What would seem to be a routine traffic stop quickly turned into a missing persons case.
So when I walked up to the vehicle, approached the driver, and I told him the reason that I pulled him over was the vehicle was reported stolen. At that point, the passenger spoke up and said, well, this is my vehicle. And she handed me a registration receipt. I noticed that her driver's license didn't match the registration. When the vehicle was entered in the NCIC as a stolen vehicle, it also put a little note that the passenger was potentially a missing person.
HPD was alerted thanks to an automated license plate scanner made by Flock Safety.
This is a motion-activated still camera that sits on the side of the road, and it captures pictures of vehicles going by, specifically focusing on the license plate. Now, the reason we focus on the license plate is because we know that 7 in 10 crimes are committed with the aid of a vehicle. Now, these readers also send alerts to law enforcement proactively in the event that they detect a stolen vehicle or a vehicle associated with a wanted offender or wanted person.
If it wasn't for a victim reporting their vehicle being stolen, then we would never get an alert in the first place. A lot of law-abiding citizens are concerned that they're going to be followed, but if you go into Walmart or any other store where they got surveillance footage, it's the same difference. You're going to be there, you're going to be watched. We're not tracking people.
And HPD says technology does have its usefulness in law enforcement.
I mean, the more we have of technology, the safer our citizens are. And that is us as law enforcement, is to protect the citizens. And so that's what we try to do, is search out all the technology that we can to help us.
For Fox 54 News, I'm Ken McCoy.
Libraries have long played a role in the community to help close the gap on illiteracy in communities. And this week is National Library Week, and they want you to know there's more to this story. Our Ken McCoy is here. Ken, please share.
Kanisha, you just said it. There is more to the story. In fact, that's the theme for this week, and the Huntsville-Madison County Public Library has a lot to offer.
Library Week for us is every week, right? We do over 100 programs a week, every week.
Every week is Library Week at the Huntsville-Madison Library.
We also use this week particularly as an opportunity to reach out to our state legislators and thank them for their funding for libraries, for all public libraries, but also in particular for funding us.
And being a part of that infrastructure goes far beyond books.
The library is so much more than books. In our community here in Huntsville and Madison County, the library is used by hundreds and thousands of people. We have 1.2 million visitors a year to the library to participate not only in checkouts and getting materials, but also in all the programs that we offer.
And there's something for everybody.
Everything from your traditional preschool story times through STEM programming, games, lectures, all kinds of activities to learn how to do things, to communicate, to grow.
With the job market in Huntsville growing, those who may need a little extra help can find it here.
It's really important, particularly as Huntsville grows and expands, that people have a place to come where they can acquire those job skills and acquire the skills they need to improve their lives, to participate in the expanded job market. We have workforce development staff that's their job, specifically to help people achieve that next step. And then we also work with outside agencies that come in and help assist with that.
And no matter what the nature of the visit, the library is a safe space.
We feel like the library is an important part of the social infrastructure of our city and our county. And I think it's the place where people feel it's a great place to hang out, where it's safe and free and where everyone is welcome.
Now, the Valley's top teacher, sponsored by Calhoun Community College.
We all have a certain language that unites us, whether it be at home or at work. One teacher in her classroom believes it's the only way to reach her students. Meet our Valley's top teacher from Johnson Elementary School, Melissa Boyd. Here at Johnson Elementary School.
Oh, great job, Chase!
Pre-K inclusion teacher Melissa Boyd.
You're peeking.
Teaches with her intuition.
You've got to find a way into their little hearts and in their little minds in order to help them to understand what they're learning.
And a part of that learning includes curiosity for many, like this little one.
You little cheeser.
And this one too.
You little cheeser. Oh, now we got a second cheeser.
Boyd.
I use whatever means, whether it's pictures for them to communicate.
Communicates with her hands.
Or we use a lot of sign language.
And her heart.
Every child has the ability to learn, and I've always set a high bar for learning, but every child I've ever taught has not only reached that bar, they usually exceed it.
It's why when one of those twins who started off the school year nonverbal began to speak, after 20 years in education, Boyd knew the past 2 years in pre-K was her calling.
I love pre-K because it's early intervention. It is getting them early and teaching them what they need to succeed further on, and hopefully keep them from having to be in a self-contained classroom, being able to work alongside their typical developing peers.
Congratulations, well-deserved, Mrs. Boyd. Get a look at what inspired her to learn sign language and also nominate a teacher too on FOX54.com.
NASA's Human Exploration Rover Challenge is back in person with students from across the country and some as far as Singapore competing in this two-day event. Arkin McCoy was there for the kickoff and has more.
So guys, right behind me is the start of an exciting weekend where over 500 students from across the country are here in Huntsville to show off their dance moves. One way to ease nerves before a big event, dance.
It's been a great experience. It's been interesting to, talk to students from other countries and, see what their challenges were compared to ours.
NASA's Human Exploration Rover Challenge lets students design and drive human-powered rovers across an obstacle course similar to the terrain on the moon and other bodies.
The very first obstacle, the undulating terrain, it puts a lot of torsional stresses through the frame of the rover, and this particular rover articulates in the center.
Okay.
So that takes a lot of that stress out of the frame, and we don't have to worry about braking on torsional obstacles.
HERC is one of NASA's 8 Artemis student challenges, and building these rovers aren't an easy task.
It takes really the full year as far as designing, from the initial planning aspects, getting all the financial things in order, and then putting it together seems to take just maybe a couple months, as long as you got a good plan ahead.
So we spent all of our fall semester into design, and then we worked on building it in the spring and testing, and then finishing this just Tuesday before we came here.
But it can help if you have a cool name.
This is our rover for this year. Call it Hercules. It was kind of a play on words, the HERC Challenge, and Hercules being, the mighty man. We thought that was kind of a nice way to incorporate the challenge into our rover.
All right, well, tonight we have a heartwarming story out of the Valley. Pen pals for more than 60 years have reunited again over in the city of Decatur. One of these pen pals is from Moulton, while the other reigns all the way from Scotland. And somehow their friendship has lasted through all the years and distance. We have our Nixon Norman live with us. Nixon, this is very exciting.
Kanisha, exciting is definitely the word that comes to mind. Anne and Christine have been writing and, more importantly, supporting each other over the past 65 years. A friendship that has lasted through marriage, kids, struggles, and times of joy. But this could possibly be the last time this pair sees each other. Luckily, they're sure making this trip count.
Christine Jackson is from Moulton, and Spruitt is from Scotland. The two have been pen pals for over 65 years.
We just seemed to click.
They started writing each other as preteens.
Just keeping in touch and telling, just sharing parts of our life, because it was a bit different. She was a country girl and I was a town girl, so...
They continued to write each other through every stage of life after that, from boyfriends to marriage, from schoolwork to kids of their own.
Anne had made sweaters. Every time I had a baby, she'd make a sweater, and then she'd make them as the kids got older.
Becoming best friends was easy for them, with the only obstacle being distance. But really, it was a blessing in disguise, as that distance allowed them to gain a better understanding of each other and each other's cultures.
Her birthday's on Valentine's Day, and I didn't know if they have Valentine's Day over there or not. Do they have Valentine's Day? Oh, yeah. So you were born on Valentine's Day.
They both agree that while there are several differences between the two, they share more similarities overall.
Different but the same.
I found out a lot about Scotland and about her culture, and found that it's really not too different. We have still a lot in common, even though we're so far away from each other.
And although this may be the last time they see each other in person, the pair aims to continue staying in touch.
This is probably the last time we'll see each other. Because I can't go. I've got Parkinson's disease and I can't fly to see her. And you may not be able to afford to come back.
Getting older, so.
Yeah.
While definitely making the most out of this go round.
Are you guys making the most of it?
Definitely.
For more on the story of the lifelong pen pals, Ann and Christine, head on over to fox54.com.
A heartwarming way to end this look at North Alabama at its best. That's it for the episode of the Week in Review. Be sure to visit fox54.com and download our app for breaking news and weather 24/7. This program and many other digital-only videos can be found throughout the week on Fox 54 Plus, available on your Roku and Fire TV devices. For Fox 54 News, I'm Kenesha Dees. See you next time.